What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Crimson, and today we are covering the draft analysis of the new league I am in, which goes by the name of the United Battlers League. I have downs, I swear to God. Anyway, it was a 12-mon draft, a non-free draft where you had to draft 4 OU, 4 UU, and 4 RU. These picks, let's just say I was sniped a little bit. I mean, I wasn't super sniped. I made a couple of mispicks, like I could have waited on some of my picks and whatnot. But I'm pretty happy with the draft overall. I got some huge wall breakers, a couple of good walls, a couple of pivots, important immunities, whatnot. So with that, let's get into the team. So as you can see, I have Mega Beedrill. I shouldn't have first picked it, obviously. It probably was a 4th picker. I could have gotten like Victini on the squad. It would have been like 50 times more better. But, I mean, Weavile isn't the worst, so can't really complain. Gets good ground coverage, gets knockoff, poison jab, gets U-turn, toxic spikes, SD, if you really want to OHKO things. I mean, after an SD, this thing is a monster. It gets a roost, but good luck walling anything. Baton Pass Agility is kind of a weird set. Gets Defog, which no one's gonna run. I mean, those are... Fellstinger is a thing in this meta. You can't sleep on Fellstinger. Like, Mega Beedrill gets 1 kill, plus 3, it probably starts sweeping your opponent. Looking at the rest of its moves, they're all subpar. So yeah, Mega Beedrill is a one-trick pony. Doesn't really do much except attack with stab and shit on things. Next up, we got Tapu Bulu. This is less of a one-trick pony, but it's still kind of a one-trick pony. You run Banded, or you run like bulky with like Nature's Madness, Leech Seed, and stuff like that. I mean, special set's not the worst. It's got base 85 special attack. You can run like Dazzling Gleam, which is important because it doesn't get any physical fairy moves. Also gets SD. Gets the ability to Whirlwind, Taunt, Toxic things. Obviously, Wood Hammer and Grassy Surge hits like a truck, especially when you're banded. There's like 1 switch in the game, maybe 2. I'd say Skarmory and Celesteela are probably like the only switch-ins to that. I mean, there's probably some other, but you know, those are the only 2 coming to mind anyway. Can set up screens. Get some coverage like Mega Horn, Stone Edge, Superpower, Zen Headbutt, Wood Hammer. I guess Brutal Swing. It's a thing in this meta, I guess. Nature Power starts as Tri-Attack, so that's not really super good. Smart Strike is an interesting one. And yeah, that's really about it. I mean, pretty sure you could just Rototiller and get yourself +1 attack. But they're Sword Stance, so who cares? Terrakion. It's like a truck. It's the ability to get rocks up, can Calm Mind, can Sword Stance. It's a Reflect, can Roar, Rock Polish, also Taunts and Toxics. It stabs. I mean, it stabs hurt. It hits like a truck. Again, Choice Banded set hurts. Choice Scarf set doesn't hurt as much. But, you know, Choice Scarf set's still really good. Iron Head, Poison Jab. Hit those fairies that are annoying. Close Combat. Stone Edge. Really the main moves you'll see on this thing. It'll get Zen Headbutt. Yeah, I guess Z Sandstorm's the thing I could possibly run. Make myself bulky and get that speed. I don't want to reveal too much of my strategies with these mons, but you know, something's sure to leak as I'm speaking about these things. Weavile, which debatably should have been a Z-mover of mine. Oh, okay, let me explain the Z-move policy first. You get 3 Z-movers non-status except for Weather. So you can get Weather up, and you can Z-attack, like Gigavolt, Havoc, whatnot. So Terrakion's one of mine, but Weavile isn't. So, you know, people say this thing's really good as a Z-mover, gets poison jab, low kick, icicle crash, night slash, I guess, because knockoff isn't super good as a Z-move. And I'm like, sure, it's actually not the worst. But, you know, there's things with better coverage that I'd like to give a Z-move over than this thing. This thing does get natural gift, which is kind of cool. Also gets a rain dance. Rain dance, surf, Weavile with nasty plot coming in. But yeah, this thing isn't super great. Or, I mean, it is pretty damn good, but it's, you know, kind of subpar for an OU pick. Victini's definitely outclassing this thing. Yeah, that was just a mistake of mine, really. Mega Beedrill was never going like that early on. I shouldn't have waited, or I should have waited on it, is what I meant to say. Next up, I get the wall that I needed. Everyone, like, this mon is super good Gen 7. Like, at walling everything. It's been equally as good every gen, but this is the first time I get to use it. It's my low deck, obviously. Marvel scale is the ability to go to. Competitive is meh, I guess. If there's someone that wants to, like, defog on you or something. Intimidate you, I guess. You could get that special attack boost and start trying to sweep. Base 100 special attack, so you kind of hit like a truck. You also get Coil, which is, you know, weird tech. You might see it one day. Haze is good, so you're not setup fodder. Magic Coat to bounce back toxic spikes, whatnot. Recover is important, because this is like one of my only walls that gets recovery, or like reliable recovery. Scald, obviously, best move Gen 6, no matter what anyone says. Yeah, Dragon Tail is nice. Probably over Haze and whatnot, unless there's like a fairy. Next up we got Togekiss. Togekiss, I'm stupid. I was thinking like Doge Kiss, but then, you know, like, whatever. It's Togekiss. As you see, the ability I have it set on is Hustle. This is an ability that, you know, doesn't really suit this Pokemon super well, because it does get Serene Grace, and everyone knows about that shit. Also super luck, but, you know, I'm looking at Hustle, I'm like, hey, you feel me, Togekiss? We about to run you physical. Bam. About to be breaking people's bricks. You about to be, you about to be frustrated, my nigga. It's wild, but yeah, this thing's also a wall. Base 85 HP, base 95 defense, base 115 Spadaf also gets base 80 speed, so it's decent with a Scarf. Scarf Serene Grace obviously is pretty good. The special set's usually predominant, but if I don't run Hustle Togekiss once, I am not a successful memer. Get some coverage like Shadow Ball, Signal Beam. Get status, obviously, T-Wave. And, Trick is kind of nice. Wish is pretty huge, because Wish Passing is something this team didn't have. Kind of likes, because a lot of my offensive threats might be able to take one hit. And if I could wish it back up, that'd be pretty nice, especially with base 85 HP. Because Beedrill appreciates that, Bulu kind of appreciates that, Terrakion not so much, Weavile a little bit. You know, they have lower base HP stats, obviously. So they're going to be getting more back in terms of percentage. I was considering this mon to be a Z-mover because of the coverage it gets, obviously. Imagine like hitting something with a Hustle boosted Z-move, like Drain Punch or something, I don't know. But like, you know, looking back at it, or like even Double Edge, just pop something, dude. Looking back on it, I mean, it might have been a good Z-mover, but I waited till later on to make my Z-mover. Also, that's my second fairy type. I believe that's one of the only 2 types I repeat in this draft, but as we keep going, obviously Arcanine's not going to last this long. I figured it was, I believe it was taken first round. I'm like, it's fine. Milotic's way more important to me than Arcanine, because I don't have anything with reliable recovery in first round of UU, which I then go ahead and take Togekiss, which has reliable recovery. So I take Darmanitan. I mean, yeah, it's not the wall that I was really wanting out of this tier, but this thing sure as hell hits like a truck. I mean, you run in Belly Drum Zen mode. Shout out to my boy David. Good tech. Yeah, Zen mode's kind of weird. I doubt I'll be able to use that successfully, but you know, memers are out here. We trying. Honestly, it's not super hard. I guess I could just like switch Darmanitan in on rocks. You turn out and switch it back in on rocks and have Zen mode. But yeah, that's besides the point. This thing gets a couple of decent attacks, hits hard, like super hard on the physical side. We're talking like base 140 attack with sheer force, flare blitz, bodies, things. Like even resists don't enjoy it. Same with Tapu Bulu. Terrakion is kinda up there. And Mega Beedrill as well. Resists don't really enjoy it. Too bad I matched up against the Celesteela this week, which Beedrill actually has no chance of doing anything to. Well, we'll see. I might have some tech. You don't know. But yeah, this thing gets special moves because when it's in Zen mode, it's not bad. Alright, I'll show you Zen mode right now. We'll look at this thing's special attack. It switches attack and special attack as well as a couple other stats, like its speed gets distributed amongst bulk. And Fire Blasts hit hard. Yeah, I mean, you're not sheer force, which sucks. But if your opponent doesn't have a good special wall counter to Darmanitan, then, you know, he's probably about to get blown back. There's not much of a type combo that resists both Psychic and Fire, I don't believe, because Steel, bopped by Fire, resists Psychic. I mean, like a dual typing probably, but like, I'm too lazy to think of that. Next on, we'll move to the Jolteon right here. Quick Feet, the tech that Pokemon likes to run. I mean, it's not a bad tech, but most of the time, this thing's fast enough as it is, 130 speed. Obviously, if he's got some Scarfers that I'm scared of, I'll run Quick Feet if I have to, my nigga. But I already got one Mon that it needs to status itself. I really don't want to, especially since this thing's frail as it is. Z Celebrate is banned, so this isn't my Z mover, obviously, because that's Omni boosting and that would probably be broken. Not on this Mon per se, but, you know, this Mon gets a Wish. It's a terrible Wish passer, but, you know, mainly there because fast electric, that's pretty important. And, speaking of fast electric, this Mon should not have come to me. I didn't draft this, it didn't deserve to come to me. The guy before me, he picked Talonflame. He meant to pick this thing, then Talonflame. He did it in the wrong order, and I took this thing off his hands. And thankfully, I did, because I would have had to like use Zebstrika as my fast electric, and trust me, that Mon is butt. Okay, so I didn't draft Jolteon as my 4th UU pick. Instead, that was Fortress, obviously. Jolteon was my first RU pick. It's a little mixed up here. So I'll cover the rest of this in order. Fortress, obviously Spinner, hazard setter, main hazard setter of this team. Obviously Terrakion gets rocks. Cofagrigus gets toxic spikes. I have some hazard setters. Obviously this is the one I'm going to rely on most. Mega Beedrill also gets toxic spikes, funnily enough, if anyone actually uses that. Gets Volt Switch for momentum, which is nice. Toxic spikes, stealth rocks, everything but webs. You can try to rock polish with this thing, but you'll still be slower than the entire metagame. Explosion's pretty nice. Just like get all your hazards up and explode so they can't defog or rapid spin on you. Sturdy's important because it guarantees you get at least one layer of hazards up, or it doesn't guarantee you spin away, because if they have hazards up, you lose your Sturdy. Next thing we drafted, I believe, was Cofagrigus after Jolteon. So, Cofagrigus, it's pretty good wall. Its HP is a bit low, but it gets Pain Split, so that's kind of reliable recovering in a sense. Also, it enjoys the wishes from Togekiss, not so much from Jolteon, because it's base 65 HP. But, you know, it enjoys the wishes from both of those, I guess. Destiny Bond is meh. Calm Mind, Haze, Gets Hex with status, especially Toxic Spikes. Can trick things, Will-O-Wisp things. Nasty Plot, Memento, Knockoff. A lot of my mons get Magic Coat, which is a weird move to have on a lot of your mons, but I'm not complaining. Its only form of recovery is Pain Split unless you have leftovers. After you is a weird move. The target makes its move right after the user, which, I don't see where that comes in. Curse, obviously, it's not +1 attack, +1 defense, but instead it's the thing where you do damage to yourself to do damage to your opponent. Like residual damage, It gets Infestation, I guess, Siren Defense, Roleplay, which lets it replace abilities, also Skill Swap, just switch abilities. Telekinesis gives it a ground immunity, which is nice. Trick Room, obviously, that's a good thing to have, but my team's like super fast. Trick Room's something I don't want used against me, to be honest. Unless I can get Darmanitan into Zen mode, that would probably be broken under Trick Room. Something I would also like to try. This thing gets Rest, so you can use Resto Chesto. That's about it. It also sets up with Nasty Plot. I think I already mentioned that, though. Yeah. Gothagrigus is a good wall with that base 145 defense. Just lacks the HP stat, but it's not the worst. So next thing I drafted was Flygon, because you know what? There was Tyrantrum, but you'll never see Tyrantrum and Terrakion both coming to the same game. They just both provide the same exact role with a different secondary type. They both hit like trucks. They both click rock moves and shit on people. Unless you got a switch in. But be careful, because I doubt you have a switch in. Yeah, so Tyrantrum was on the watch. I didn't pick it up. I could have very well picked it up. But, third Defogger isn't the worst. This thing gets Boom Burst. It's that low tier Swallow. Yeah, as you can see, its special attack isn't super low, so you can actually run a special variant. I don't think it gets Quiver Dance. Yeah, it doesn't. You can get, like, Calm Mind or something. Nasty Plot, maybe? Yeah, this thing doesn't get any special setup. That's fine. Doesn't really need it. It gets Power Up Punch, which is kind of weird. I think that's its only form of setup. Yeah. And, like, maybe Workup? Nah, it doesn't get Workup. Okay. But yeah, it gets quite a variety of coverage. Natural Gift, which is kind of cool. Incinerate to burn the berries, which is kind of clutch in draft format. The U-turn to get momentum. Defog, get rid of hazards. Earthquake and Outrage is... Earthquake and Dragon Claw is pretty spammable. Outrage not so much, because it can just switch into their fairy. It's some decent coverage, which is why I decided to make this my second Z-move user. So as you all know, that makes my last mon my third Z-move user, which is Meloetta. Well, here's the thing. When I took Fortress, I wanted Metagross over it, just because, like, Metagross is something I've always wanted to use in draft format. Let's talk about Metagross. Metagross, real quick, it shouldn't take too long. Look at these stats. The worst thing is its speed. It can be easily scarfed. It gets priority, it gets Earthquake, it gets Meteor Mash, Ice Punch, Psychic, so you can be mixed. Zen Headbutt in case you don't want to be mixed. Natural Gift. Like, this thing gets so many moves. Not like a ton of moves, obviously, but like you could be Agility Metagross, be a late game sweeper. I really wanted to build something around this mon, but when it got sniped, which, funny enough, if I had waited to tell that guy that Alakazam was borderline and not UU, I would have had it, but I'm not a douche, so, I told him, he took the Metagross, I was stuck with Fortress, and then I had to build around it, and now he's trying to trade me Metagross because he realizes his team doesn't need it. But I already built around having no Metagross, so that trade's probably not going to work out. Unfortunate. Anyway, my last mon's Meloetta. Obviously, Psychic, Normal is two new types that I don't have, which means I have every type in the game, with repeats of Bug and Fairy. Yep. And Meloetta is an interesting mon. Obviously, it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick, Steve. You have the ability to switch between two forms with Relic Song, as well as, what is it, Relic Song, there it is, a 20% chance to put foes to sleep with Serene Grace, which is not the worst chance, but, you know, that's not going to happen every time. Obviously, moves like Energy Ball, Psychic, all those moves that have a 10% chance to lower speed def, those are 20% now. Shadow Ball gets that 40%. Thunder gets a 60% chance to paralyze, which is the same as Jirachi, which I used to run that mixed Jirachi with Thunder Iron Head. But, you know, everyone just runs Thunder Wave because they're not real. Charge Beam is that 140% chance to raise the user's special attack. You know, gets a lot of coverage. And, you know, you could very well, like, run the Psychic Meloetta physical. It's not the worst. Obviously, it's my Z mover, so I could just toss on like a close combat with the Fightinium Z without even transforming and just like pop it, and he'd think that I have Focus Blast, but I really don't. So it's like some mind games with this mon. Kind of like it. Meloetta is kind of a weird Pokemon, really. It didn't fit. Well, it really fit my draft after Metagross got sniped, but my original plans had nothing to do with any of this. I probably was going to go Mandibuzz Milotic. I mean, Mandibuzz was still up, but I didn't want to take another Dark type and then have two Dark types, and then, you know, I don't know. I guess I could have, because now I have two Fairy types, but I like Togekiss a bit more. It hits harder offensively. It's not as much setup fodder, I guess. And, yeah. So, obviously, Meloetta gets Calm Mind, which is good for its Psychic form. I mean, you could just keep transforming back and forth, but when you switch out, you get, I think, automatically reverted to the Psychic form, which I'm not a big fan of. The Psychic form, it's huge bulk, like Spadef bulk. And then when you transform to the physical form, it's more mixed, kind of, with a lot of it tossed into the speed stat. Like 128 speed, this is a fast nigga. He outspeeding everything on the team except Mega Beedrill, I believe. Outspeeding the Weavile. Oh, actually, Jolteon, I'm stupid. Ignore that. But yeah, he's fast. He's furious. Or I should say she's furious, but, you know, apparently it's genderless, so I've just triggered everyone in the world. It gets Parror Song, which is weird. I don't think it's a way to, like, trap it like Whirlpool. Nah, I don't think so. I mean, it was an idea. Yo, skill swap the Doug Trio, take its Arena Trap. Clean. Just think of the weirdest stuff. It gets Psych Up. A couple of my mons do. Just copy stat boosts in case something's about to sweep. Like a Calm Mind Crest, perhaps. U-Turn's good for momentum, obviously. The problem with this mon is it gets a lot of 4 move slots syndrome, or 4 move syndrome, I don't know, Down syndrome, apparently. Yeah, so, you know, you want to run special, but you might want to toss on the physical tech. You might want to run physical and toss on the special tech. You know, like Grass Knot on the physical set makes some sense. You could just run Energy Ball on a special set, but, you know, there might be a reason you might want to be mixed, and then it's kind of hard when you want to transform, predicting your opponent to switch. It's a lot of mind games. I'm not the best battler, so this might not even go well. I might drop Meloetta at some point, because, you know, it's meh. It does give me a second fighting type, technically, with Terrakion, but I'm counting it as a psychic type, because that's what it starts out as. I will only bring this fighting thing. I can't say that. That's not true at all. I was going to say if I don't bring Terrakion, but I could very well bring both. They both hit like fucking trucks. Obviously, you could like Calm Mind and then switch, and then the physical set is still bulky as shit. So, yeah. Anyway, that's about all I have to say. My draft is godly. If I lose a single game this season, I'm blaming the analysts. They're all motherfuckers. Excuse my cursing, it's late. I'm fucking tired of shit. You know, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed watching. It's gonna be quite the long one, so grab the bucket of popcorn. Shit, I shouldn't have said that at the end of the video, huh? Yeah, a lot of my mons get momentum. Like, that's something I wanted to build around, because I have Volt Switch on this, U-turn on Volt Switch on Jolteon, U-turn Darmanitan, U-turn Meloetta, Volt Switch Fortress, U-turn Flygon. That's 5 out of those 6 picks. I don't think this, I mean, this gets Baton Pass if you want to count that. Most of the time I'm probably not going to run Baton Pass, except like maybe Wish. So I guess that's 6. Beedrill gets U-turn, so that's like 7, I guess, Momentumons. That's 7. Yeah, I guess kind of 7 Momentumons. So this is kind of like a hyper offense team, except with, you know, some pivots, obviously. And a Milotic, which never belongs in hyper offense. But yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Quite the long video, I'm sorry about that. It's just important that I recap my team. So, hope you guys enjoyed. It's your boy Crimson. I'm out. Peace.